Welcome back into the At Real Market Wolf community here on X and on YouTube. We are taking a look right now at Bitcoin, but we're going to flip to Ethereum. I want to give you a macro view of the market and what's going on right now overall and what we might be able to expect. I'm going to start with the bear case. I'm going to give you a bull case, and then I'm going to give you my opinion. And so let's take a look at the 3-day time frame. Here on the 3-day time frame on Ethereum, you can see this is a hypothetical green symmetrical triangle I've drawn in here as a potential consolidation that we might see Ethereum go through. This could range anywhere from $2,927.80 as low as potentially $2,143.72. We would not want to see $2,143.72 broken. You don't want to see a daily close or a weekly close below there, because that would kind of be the point of no return. So that's in the short term. We're looking to see about a consolidation here and a potential breakup. Could we retest early before that? Yes, absolutely. In fact, that's something that could be happening on Bitcoin right now, and we'll get into that in a moment, and Ethereum would certainly follow. So what I want to show you is that in the longer term, let's take it out to the weekly time frame on Ethereum, you can see that we have been in a very large symmetrical triangle consolidating here for quite a long time, going all the way back to a tip at about November of 2021. So what we want to do here is we don't want to see a breakdown past this area here, and that's also why $2,143.72 is so important as an area of last return. You could have a wick outside of this triangle briefly and get price sucked back in. You want to stay inside this symmetrical triangle. That's very important. And so on a bear case, if it did break down in the long term, you could initially see a measured move in the beginning all the way down to probably about maybe roughly about $2,240.50. But if we had a bear case in the long-term play out where we saw a breakdown on the weekly and monthly time frames, then you could see a move all the way down to $70.46. And I want to take this back out to the monthly on Ethereum so you can see exactly why that's possible. Okay, you see how quickly Ethereum can move in 1 month to the downside, especially right here. So that's something we really need to pay attention to. Now, one thing that will happen as long as, well, I say will, as long as, that's what's predicated here, as long as we close the monthly looking about like we do right now, the downside could be slowing down and we could be getting support even before we came all the way down here to the base of this symmetrical. So that's what we'd be looking for there. And this is generally the consolidation phase we're looking for on Ethereum. Now, the only way we can really kind of have a good idea of what will happen on Ethereum on the bear case or the bull case is, looking at Bitcoin and understanding that. Let's take a look at the bull case on Ethereum very quickly. If we were to eventually get support in this consolidation phase and break up, then you're looking at coming up to maybe about $3,700 or so, maybe somewhere in there. And if we got support and we confirmed a breakout out of the larger symmetrical triangle that we've been in for a very long time, you could be coming up to $6,051.24. So this is what we're trying to sniff out and detect. Let's take a look at Bitcoin and let's understand exactly what's happening here. Side chop can really wreck altcoins, including Ethereum, and that's exactly what we've had on Bitcoin for a while now. The reason there's such a mess on here is because there's a lot happening. There is a whole lot happening in this consolidation. So we have these two yellow lines here representing a volatility pattern. Okay, Bitcoin is very volatile right now, and we're kind of chugging along in the middle, right where we've been. We're not in the extreme right now. But what we would be looking for potentially, if things don't hold, we're at a kind of a really monumental moment right here in terms of chop and what will happen. So in the short term on Bitcoin needs to hold this 98,11565 level right here. I would not want to see a break below there again and a daily close below there. That wouldn't be the best look in the world, because then you could potentially be coming down much harder and you might be revisiting this volatility line right here. And of course, that would take us lower than 88.89823 this time. Or maybe we would get support in this range somewhere, somewhere between about 92.368 and coming all the way down to about 87.94774. So right now, though, Bitcoin has got, in the short term, momentum to the upside. And if this momentum continues and we can get through some of this major resistance at the 99,000 level, you could be looking at a measured move all the way up to about $109,174.19. And that would take us up to our old resistance that goes all the way back to March of 2024, this red dotted line that you see right here. So there's a lot of confluency there, and we might see a rejection there at that point. We could get super bullish, and we could head all the way up to test a new high at about 100 and maybe 112,172. We could even go up 113. That would be possible. Okay, and that's what I mean by this volatility pattern. Large moves to the upside, large moves to the downside. Large moves to the downside, definitely going to affect Ethereum. Large moves to the upside certainly could affect Ethereum in the positive as well. And that goes for our altcoins. So let's take a look back. Knowing this now, knowing what kind of pattern Bitcoin it is in, let's take a look back briefly at Ethereum here. And so on Ethereum, if Bitcoin were to continue down and break down from where it is right now in that volatility pattern and actually go back down to about 88K or so, I would not be surprised to see Ethereum come all the way down to its uptrend here in this green dotted line. So maybe somewhere around 2,269.73 to maybe around 2,224.54. And this would probably be, if it were to break down right now, this would probably be a max pain event for altcoins for most of them that we go over here on this channel. Now, the other thing that can happen is if Bitcoin continues on this kind of bullish move that it's on in the shorter time frames, and it decides to break up and retest the total upside, then of course Ethereum could swing around. Let's get off of the monthly time frame here. Let me take you to the 12-hour time frame so you can see something a little more realistic on that front. So, Ethereum could swing around here, okay? Like maybe we're getting here, maybe here, and then whoosh, back up here, and then we're back up at the top again as Bitcoin tests the upside, or it could just lead to a retest of maybe about 3,444.80, maybe 3,530.39. We won't really know until we see how strong of a move it can put in. The problem is, even from the 12-hour all the way, let's go to the 24-hour time frame, you have a lot of resistance that you have to get through, and your likely spot to revisit and backtest is about $3,093.86. You would want to see Ethereum get above that and hold for a continued move up on a Bitcoin move up. Now, if Bitcoin were to get crazy and confirm off of that's the total market, confirm off the top side of this volatility pattern. Let's say it gets to 112,000 and then it gets two confirmation candles to the top here and we go crazy breakout. We go 130.496 or we go 131.515. Those would be the first moves you'd be looking for. Then obviously Ethereum might be attempting its breakout, which could take it as high as 6,051.24. Okay. Now, that's your bear case, that's your bull case. Let me give you my opinion on what I think is going to happen here with this situation. Now, it's very possible. We have cleared out enough room on Bitcoin to where Bitcoin can certainly swing around and come up and revisit this full measured move. It wouldn't surprise me if that happened. I can't tell you for certain because it's really going to be determined by this area that we're in right here. If we break back below and then we break down, I'd say, odds are we're probably going to come down, okay? If we can hold here and get support, then we have to watch these resistance area, but odds are that momentum will pick up. We might see volume pick up at that point, and we might get a revisit right here. Now, if this is rejected right here off of a move up, I think that would be a significant move to the downside. In that scenario, I think that like you see a revisit here very fast down to like 88, 898 or so, possibly lower. Like, I think, when you get that many rejections in this area for Bitcoin and it gets rejected lower than the last high, I think that will start to concern people and they're going to want to lock in profit. So that's if that scenario plays out. The other thing that can happen is we can get rejected right here. It can fall through and we can just continue down, in which case we'll clear out a lot more room. And then by then, certainly, I think that we might get a bounce up to the upside here and then further break out. It's possible. I want to show you why. Now, it could just be that we continue to chop to the side and this volatility pattern gets more volatile. But, this thing is going to have to confirm to the upside or downside eventually. So that's something we're watching for. But let's take a look at the Bitcoin halving, okay? Notice like every single time on the Bitcoin halving when like we cross into the halving cycle area, sometimes you go directly up in the halving cycle and then you have consolidation, and then as you're leaving you have a further breakup. Sometimes you have a slow rise, and then that slow rise continues after. Look, so you get a little downside here, which is pretty drastic. It looks like a little here, but in reality, that's people losing their minds and freaking out. And then we have continued upside. Then we go through consolidation, right? And then moving into the halving, we see a small curve up here. And this is interesting because after this move up, it consolidated down and then up again and then consolidated. It's finished its consolidation. I'm pretty sure this is that double peak that we went through. Yeah. And then we've consolidated, right? Now we're back in the halving again. We have hardly moved up at all within the context of the halving itself. So like notice like this time that like we hardly went up at all here, that it just continued. There was heavy downside, but we just continued. And this was back in 2017. And there's a lot of people that are comparing this to 2017. It very well could be like that with Bitcoin. It certainly doesn't look like this, right? So that's a possibility that we just continue up that way with some strong pullback like we did in 2017. And it's kind of shaping up to look a little bit like that, okay? So, or we have a major breakdown briefly here, maybe back down to this level right here, and then boom, then we explode. We have a very, very large explosive move, something like this. Notice here we had a big move down, and then we come up, consolidate, and boom, and we're out. So the point being is that however this plays out, if history repeats, and this is by no means a certainty, okay, but so far it has happened every time. So let's just go with that. Let's just say that it's going to happen. I'm not saying that. Nobody knows for sure, but I'm just saying let's hypothetically say this is certainly going to happen. Then at some point, Bitcoin is going to have a major drawdown, possibly even to something crazy like 78,31891, okay? I've got 85,07198 kind of marked at the last resort before you get a complete waterfall down, and you would revisit like crazy levels, like all the way down to like 65 or so. And that would really have a crazy effect on people, because that would be revisiting the last point of breakout and all that consolidation we did for so long. But that's certainly possible. Bitcoin is very volatile, right? It doesn't matter truly it doesn't matter like how far down it goes, because this extension right here shows us just how explosive it can be in a very brief amount of time. Okay. You're literally talking about if we come from that consolidation point up in just like 3, 6, 9, 12, so about 21 days, you're talking about a 47% move to the upside. the top, you're talking about a 61% move. So Bitcoin can move pretty good, right? I think what's going to happen more than likely is we'll have a max pain event and maybe a wick that hits 85.07198. And you might see some despair at that point. And then that's where we want to see if we get a lot of strong buying activity, and then we get an explosive move up, confirm off the top of the old volatility or this old resistance right here, and then we see our $135 to $150,000 move. And so what that would look like on Ethereum would probably be something like maybe even wicking through 214372, depending on where it's at, right? It could go up first, right, and try and reverse and then come all the way down and get everybody. But it could wick through. It could wick through. And just freak everybody out, and then continue on its merry way. Like, take a look back here at this example, right? Like, on this daily time frame, it wicked below, but it didn't close there. Wicks below again, doesn't close there. Wicks below again, doesn't close there. And then it goes on an uptrend, right? And then it comes down finally, and it does break down, right? But then it holds even on the daily time frame, comes back up. Oh, it breaks down again. I'm sure people are terrified. We're below the 200-day moving average. Absolute panic and fear. And then it comes right back up, right? So in any case, I think we're going to get some fear. We're going to clear out a lot. And then after we've cleared out a lot of space, this is going to come into play, and we're going to start to get some explosive moves, and then you're going to see Ethereum move, and you'll see everything else move. Now, if that doesn't happen, if for some reason we see something, an unusual event here where the halving cycle just doesn't continue up like it normally does, then on Bitcoin, you're coming back down to 65,462 at least, for starters, at least. And Ethereum, you could be coming all the way back down. Sounds crazy. You could be coming all the way back down to like $70, $70.46. I mean, in the long term, okay? Because what we're talking about at that point is we're talking about 1,000 days of pain. We're talking about 1,000 days of pain. You're talking about going through a major market correction, because what would happen, the reason I'm bringing this out to the weekly is so you can see it, is that this would become an M-topping reversal essentially, even though that's not much of a, let's take it out to the higher time frame, because that would actually, okay. So in the monthly, you could see this would become an M-topping reversal. It would break through, and it would probably come down. Would it come all the way down to 70 again? I don't know. It's pretty crazy. That's just the measured move. I think it could come down to like 1,522, maybe 1,091, maybe 876.62. Even 70 seems really low to me. But then on the other side of 1,000 days of pain is another bull market. And so to me, I think if crypto is going to continue up, then it would make sense that if we did have max pain event, or rather, if we did have 1,000 days of pain, I think it would make sense that it would come down to the bottom of this consolidation here, price on Ethereum. That would make sense, and because that would kind of be this local high over here too. I can't really see it coming down here or lower unless we had like the Great Depression or something, to be honest. So that's what we're looking at right now. That's generally my opinion. I do think that we're going to have to clear out room on Bitcoin. We've already cleared out a lot, so we could go up, and that's going to, make this chop take longer, and that's going to piss me off, because that means we could have more downside on Ethereum and other cryptos. I just personally want to see this freaking thing break already. I want it to break. I want this to fail. I want this to break down. I want it to break here. I want it to break here. I want max pain right now. I want max pain right now. Because the sooner that happens, the sooner we can get to moving back up, and we will have cleared out enough that are in profit that we can actually make something happen on Ethereum and these other coins. So that's kind of the long-term bull case, bear case, and just what to kind of expect potentially. Yeah. We're at a moment of decision here, literally on everything. And this is one of those moments right here. And I will be able to tell you more once a direction is being chosen. We do have a lot of breakdown on the weekly time frame for Bitcoin, for Ethereum. It's getting tough. But I think that's the idea here. I think that's really what the point is, because we've got to clear out more to go up. So whether you buy, sell, or average down, that's up to you. All I'm doing is giving you different scenarios that are possibly going to play out here, so you can understand what is happening in the market. And I always give you kind of last lines of resort, like on, Bitcoin here. I mean, this is a range of a line of last resort. So 88.89823 to 85.07198. You wouldn't want to see it close below that red line. You're already really pushing. When you break 88.89823, you're already really pushing a waterfall. When you break 86.61505, you're already really pushing a waterfall. But when you break 85.07198, it's pretty much done at that point, right? So that's not something you would want to see. Maybe a wick or something like that on a daily, but you wouldn't want to see it. You would want to see it get support and then continue back up. And so we would watch those key areas on Ethereum too. So that's kind of what I'm thinking, feeling, and we'll see you next time.